Watch what your Labrador does the next time you walk through the front door. Most dogs run to you. Your Lab runs past you. They disappear for 3 seconds, and then they come back with something. A shoe, a sock, a tennis ball, the TV remote, a leaf they found on the rug. And they don't give it to you. They just stand there, holding it, wagging, waiting for you to acknowledge that they brought you a gift. You probably think that's a cute little quirk your dog invented. It isn't. That behavior is older than your dog, older than your grandparents, and it's stamped into the Labrador so deeply that puppies do it before anyone teaches them anything. And that's the thing about this breed. So much of what you think is personality is actually engineering. Labradors aren't just a friendly dog with a nice temperament. They are a genuinely strange animal wearing a very normal-looking coat. There are things going on inside a Labrador that don't happen in a German Shepherd, or a Golden Retriever, or a Beagle, or any other dog on your street. So in this video, I'm giving you 6 of them. Not the generic stuff you've heard 100 times. I'm talking about an actual genetic mutation that changes how your dog experiences hunger, a body part most owners completely misunderstand and accidentally injure, and one finding about coat color that might change how you plan your dog's next 10 years. Stay with me to the end, because the 6th one is the reason so many Labs end up hurt by owners who thought they were doing everything right. Number 1. Their hunger is a genetic glitch, not greed. You've been told Labradors are food-obsessed. Fine, but nobody ever explains why, and the why is genuinely remarkable. Researchers studying obesity in dogs went looking for a genetic explanation and found one hiding in this breed. There's a gene called POMC, and in a large chunk of Labradors, a section of it is simply missing, deleted. That gene is involved in producing signaling chemicals that help tell the brain, in effect, we've eaten enough, you can stop now. When part of it is gone, that message arrives quieter than it should. Roughly a quarter of Labradors carry this deletion. It shows up in flat-coated retrievers too, and almost nowhere else. And here's the detail that makes the whole thing click. It is dramatically more common in Labradors bred for assistance work. Guide dog programs weren't testing for a gene. They were selecting for dogs that would work relentlessly for a piece of kibble. They accidentally concentrated the mutation. So when your Lab finishes a full meal and then stares at the bowl like it never happened, understand what you're looking at. They're not being dramatic. They may be running on a satiety signal that never quite lands. The hunger doesn't switch off the way it does in your neighbor's collie. What changes for you is everything about how you feed. Free feeding is a bad idea for this breed specifically. Measure with a proper cup, not a scoop or a guess. Treats have to come out of the daily total, not on top of it. And that face they make, ignore it. That face has convinced more owners into overfeeding than any other expression in the dog world. And a Labrador carrying extra weight ages faster, blows out joints earlier, and loses years. Number 2. The mouth is a tool, and it's calibrated. Back to the shoe at the front door. Labradors were built to bring things back from cold water without damaging them. A bird retrieved with a crushed body was a ruined bird. So the dogs that carried gently got bred, generation after generation, until carrying gently stopped being a trained skill and became something closer to a reflex. That's why a Labrador puppy will often show a softer mouth on day 1 than a terrier will after 6 months of training. You're not installing that, you're inheriting it. Watch a Lab pick up an egg, a delicate toy, a bird, and you'll see the pressure adjust automatically. But the carrying itself is the part owners miss. For a Labrador, holding something in the mouth is emotionally regulating. It's what they do when they're excited and don't know where to put the excitement. It's the same reason they hold the leash on walks, or grab a cushion when a guest arrives. That mouth needs a job during high arousal, and if you don't give it one, they'll pick one, usually your wrist, your sleeve, or something expensive. So work with the wiring. Keep a designated greeting object by the door and hand it to them the second you come in. Give them something safe to hold when visitors arrive. And be careful how you interpret mouthing. A Lab putting their mouth on your hand in excitement is not the same signal as a dog snapping. Different behavior, different origin, different response required from you. Number 3. Your purebred lab is one of two very different dogs. This one catches people off guard, and it's the single most useful thing you can know before you buy. The Labrador split into two distinct types decades ago, and they barely resemble each other. On one side, you have the show or bench type, often called English, a blocky head, a thick barrel chest, a shorter leg, a heavier frame, and generally a calmer, slower-burning temperament. On the other, you have the field or working type, often called American, leaner, longer in the leg, narrower in the head, lighter in the body, and wired with a drive that does not switch off. Both are Labradors, both are registered, both are purebred, and they will give you completely different lives. Very few breeds carry a divide this dramatic under one name. Someone buys a lab expecting a mellow family dog that dozes by the sofa, gets a field-bred pup out of hunting lines, and by 9 months they're living with an athlete who needs a real job and is dismantling the house because they don't have one. The dog isn't broken. The dog is exactly what those lines produce. So if you're buying, ask the breeder directly which type their lines come from and what the parents actually do all day. If you already have your dog, look at the build. That outline tells you what kind of week your lab needs, and it's a far better guide than any generic breed description you'll find online.
Number 4. That tail is a rudder, and you're probably ignoring it. Everyone laughs about the Labrador tail clearing a coffee table. Almost nobody understands what it actually is. It's called an otter tail, and it's the correct name. Thick and heavy at the base, tapering to the tip, covered in short, dense hair with no feathering or plume. It's not decorative. In water, it works as a rudder. The dog steers with it, turning against the current while the legs drive forward. Combined with the webbing between the toes and a double coat that sheds water instead of soaking it up, you have a swimming system, not a swimming dog. That has two consequences most owners never hear about. The first is limber tail. The vet term is acute caudal myopathy. Your lab swims hard, especially in cold water, and hours later, the tail is hanging limp and clearly painful. Owners panic and assume it's broken. It's usually an overworked muscle group, the way your calves seize up after a long run, and it typically settles within days with rest. It shows up in this breed constantly, precisely because that tail is doing real physical labor in the water. The second is happy tail. That tail is heavy, and it moves fast, and in a narrow hallway or against a wall, it can split open at the tip. Because it keeps wagging, it keeps reopening, and in bad cases, dogs have needed surgery. If your lab greets people in a tight space, that's worth managing before it becomes a problem. Number 5. Coat color isn't just cosmetic. Here's the uncomfortable one. A large study out of the University of Sydney went through the veterinary records of tens of thousands of Labradors in the UK and found something nobody expected. Chocolate Labradors had a noticeably shorter median lifespan than black and yellow Labradors, a gap of over a year. They also showed higher rates of ear infections and of a specific hotspot skin condition. The color itself isn't toxic. Chocolate is recessive, meaning a dog needs the gene from both parents to show it. When chocolate exploded in popularity, breeders chasing that color drew from a narrower pool of dogs to reliably produce it, and a narrower pool tends to bring health problems along with the coat. Now be careful how you hold this. It's one data set from one country, drawn from dogs that visited vet clinics. It does not mean your chocolate lab is on a countdown. Plenty of them live long, healthy, unremarkable lives. What it should change is how you shop and how you monitor. If a breeder is advertising the color before the health testing, that's your signal to walk. Ask about hips, elbows, eyes, and the relevant genetic screens, and ask about the health and age of dogs further back in the line. And if you already own a chocolate lab, just be proactive about ears and skin. Check them weekly, dry them thoroughly after swimming, and treat small irritations early instead of waiting. While we're here, the same logic applies to so-called silver labs. The color is heavily marketed, hotly disputed within the breed and priced like a luxury item. Anytime a coat color costs more than a health guarantee, something has gone wrong. Number 6. They have no off switch, and they won't tell you they're done. This is the one that actually hurts dogs. Most breeds self-regulate. They tire, they slow, they lie down, they quit. Labradors were built to keep working in freezing water long after any sensible animal would have gone home, and that willingness to override their own discomfort is still in there. Throw the ball 50 times and your lab will bring it back 50 times. Throw it 100 and many of them will still be running, on a hot day, on hard ground, well past the point where they should have stopped. There's also a real testable genetic condition in this breed called exercise-induced collapse. Dogs affected by it appear completely healthy. Then, during intense, excited exercise, the back legs weaken and give way. It's tied to a specific gene, it runs in certain lines, and there is a DNA test for it. Most owners have never heard of it until it happens in front of them. So you have to be the off switch. Build mandatory breaks into play. Call your dog out of the game before they're finished, not after. Watch the temperature, because a Labrador's enthusiasm will absolutely outrun their ability to cool down. Swap some of that physical burn for nose work, scent games, and puzzle feeding, because this breed tires far more from thinking than most owners realize. And in a young lab, protect the joints. Repetitive hard surface fetch and long runs on concrete during growth are how you buy an arthritic 6-year-old. Loving this dog properly means telling them no sometimes, because they will never tell themselves. So, there it is. A dog whose hunger signal is genetically muted, a mouth that's a calibrated instrument, a single breed name covering 2 very different animals, a tail that's a working rudder, a coat color that carries real consequences, and a body that will run itself into the ground because the brain refuses to call it. None of that shows up in the standard description of a friendly family dog, but it's what you're actually living with. And once you see it, everything your lab does starts making a lot more sense. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 did you already recognize in your own dog? And is yours the blocky English type or the lean field type? Tell me in the comments because I read them and I genuinely want to know how that split shows up in real homes. If this gave you something new about a breed you thought you already knew, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more breed breakdowns like this one. I'll see you in the next one.